Let's begin building some of the core functionality of our blog. So we need to be able to add blog posts, and we need to be able to give them titles and a body of text. So we're going to do that using a special shortcut that Rails gives us. And this idea is called scaffolding. Rails allows us to do what we call scaffolding, where we can build out some of this functionality just very quickly from scratch. Now, this isn't the way we do it with production grade applications, but this is okay for kind of learning about the Rails file structure here and just learning how Rails works a little bit. So if you have your server running on one console tab here, that's fine. Just make sure it's running. Remember, we have to navigate into this blog folder to do that. And you just type cd workspace/blog and then type bundle exec Rails S or Rails server. S is just a shortcut. So you can do that and have your server running, and again, we can just view it in a separate tab by clicking the port 3000. So now going back here, I'm going to have to create a separate tab, right, to add more commands. So I just hit that plus sign to have a new console tab down here. And then I'm going to navigate back into the blog folder to continue writing Rails commands. So workspace, blog. So you want to write that down, and then the prompt changes and we are inside the blog directory. So from here, we're going to create this special Rails command. I don't expect you to understand everything that we're writing here, but just follow along. So it's bundle exec Rails generate scaffold, and then with a capital P, you want to do post, just singular, and then we're going to have a title :string space body :text. Again, this is a very long command, and you don't have to understand exactly what it's doing, but basically it's just going to give us the ability to create posts and give them titles and bodies of text. So I'm going to hit enter now, and Rails is going to generate out some of this code for us, these files that we need. And just remember, web applications are really just a set of files and folders. That's all they are. So all we've done here is just generated a few more files and folders that we need to make this work. So we have to do one more step. We're going to do what we call a database migration. We're going to learn about this more down the line, but what this does is prepares our database to be able to store actual blog posts. And so we can do that right after scaffolding like this. We can type bundle execute and then rake. So this is different from the Rails command. This is another command called rake, and then db::migrate. And don't worry, we'll get familiar with all of these down the line, but this is how we're going to get our database ready. So now I'm just going to hit enter, and you'll see that we now have a database table created here where we can store our blog posts. And that's how much of the web works. We just store information or data into our databases and then retrieve it in a web browser. So one thing to note, whenever we do this database migration, it's a good idea to go back to your server tab and cancel the server and then start it back up again. It's just a good habit to do that every time you run a migration. You don't have to do this necessarily all the time, but it is a good habit. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm at my console tab where the server is running. I'm going to hit Control-C. And then I can hit the up key to see what the last command was that I wrote, and I can scroll through by hitting up and down, right? So in this console tab, the last thing we wrote was to start up the server. So if I hit the up arrow key, it'll show it to me. And this is what we want here. We're going to start up the server again. So I'm going to hit enter. And once we get some of that text that it shows right there and right here, we know that the server has started. Okay, so from here, we can go back to our preview tab. And remember, if you closed it, you just hit preview, port 3000, and refresh it. It's still working fine, but this is our home page. What we're going to do is add to the URL. We're going to do /posts. Okay, so now we are at this part of our web application, this page here that allows us to add new posts. This is where we're going to put our actual blog post. So I can hit new post, and I can give it a random title. You can give it whatever you want. And just give it some body text. And I can hit create here. And this means that it got saved into our actual database. Now we'll learn a little bit more about what that means, but if I hit back here, you'll see we've now done the core functionality of what we can do on the web. Not only do we have a blog here, but what we're doing is we are creating things, saving them to the database. We're able to edit them if we want. You could hit update if you wanted to edit this. And we can delete things. And that is at the heart of the way the web works today. We can add text or data to something. We can save it to a database. We can view it, edit, or delete it. Okay, and we're going to learn a lot more about that concept down the line, but just know that that's what we're doing a lot with the web, whether it's our Facebook accounts or our LinkedIn profiles or Twitter. We're just adding text somewhere, whether it's our first name or last name to a form or a Twitter post or a blog post, and we're saving that to a database. We're able to view it, edit, and delete it. Now it's going to make more sense down the line, but I really want to make sure that you understand what we're doing here. So feel free to add more blog posts if you want, and we'll go from there.